What's good, everybody? It's the one and only Who Dat Davis here for you. And as always, if you don't know, you will know that over here we bleed black and gold until we are dead and cold. And as always, hey, thank you for checking out today's video. As always, a special shout out to everybody who checks out my content on a regular basis. That is my supporters, my viewers, and my fellow peers in the Saints media community, from TJ Jones at the State of the Saints podcast to the WDN Chatline podcast composed of CB, Carly, Uptown, and WD, to Smokeless YT. Go check out his channel over there. It is because of these guys allowing me to come onto their platforms, share my takes on Saints players, Saints news, etc., and promoting my platform on their platform, and just showing that love, just building that camaraderie with the people. It is an absolute blessing. These guys have helped me grow to over 1K subscribers this year. That is the one major goal I wanted to hit before the end of 2020, this 2021 this year. So special shout out to every single guy, man, every single guy and female. I recognize you too, Carly. But in all honesty, in all seriousness, guy, if you guys haven't checked out their podcasts and their channels already, go ahead and do that. Go show them some love. They've most certainly earned it. If you're on YouTube, you want to check out TJ Jones, go ahead and search the State of the Saints podcast. He's probably one of the best out there to do this. All right, he's unfiltered, he's honest, he's informative. He gives you very, very formal opinions. If you guys want to check out the WDN Chatline podcast, go ahead and search on the YouTube the WDN Chatline podcast, or you could just search Just Pretty Carly. That's also her Twitter handle. So go ahead and check her out. Check them out over there. And Smokeless YT, gotta give it a big shout out to Big Smoke. Smokeless YT is a guy who has a lot of great takes. He just recently had a birthday also. So if you guys go over to his channel and give him a special belated birthday from your boy at my behest, I really, really appreciate that. Shout out to Damian Parker, to Jerry Poor, an OG that was known as SOBG podcast at the time before I got my feet planted. And our most recent subscriber as of 8 days ago, we have Anthony Robbins Jr. Thank you, Anthony. I've been talking to you on Facebook, on Twitter. You're very, very vocal. You know some guys. You're a very, very intelligent guy. I love talking shop with you and getting your thoughts on things. I can't wait to go forward. I may have to get you on the podcast here as a host. But speaking of this podcast, we got a lot of things we need to get into, right? We're almost a week behind in content. That's not good. I apologize. I haven't been in the right headspace mentally over the past couple of days, so I decided to take a step back, get myself back into that vibe, that rhythm that I've been in, and so give you guys the best quality content that I possibly can. So with that being said, let's officially get right down with the breakdown, and we're going to be talking about new tight end Juwan Johnson out of Oregon. Juwan Johnson made the switch to tight end, formerly a wide receiver, coming out of Oregon as a guy that wasn't the best in gaining separation on his routes. He was kind of sluggish coming at the top of his breaks. He was kind of sluggish, but he is a big guy. He's a physical guy. He can make all the catches that he needs to make, right? Juwan Johnson switching to tight end. What that means for the Saints, there's a lot of things that they can do. There's a lot of things that they can do now. Juwan Johnson has been working out with Jameis Winston a lot this offseason. I believe that Jameis Winston can see a good production, a good chemistry with Juwan Johnson as a tight end. He sees him as a little bit of OJ Howard. Now, that's a big take. That's a hot take. But if a guy like Jameis Winston sees a little bit of OJ Howard in Juwan Johnson, then that can open up a lot of things. The RAS score, if you guys don't know what that is, the RAS is a thing that is a thing that the Saints use to evaluate players on if they're going to be good, bad, or slash ideal fits for their team. The RAS had Juwan Johnson being a sub 6. I believe it was 5.8 or maybe 5.5, somewhere in that range. But when you put that grading on a tight end scale, then it shapes up to be even better. I believe it's going to be over 7.5, maybe 7.8, 7.7. The fact of the matter is, Juwan Johnson being a tight end is a really good fit, and some people I've talked to believe that Lil Jordan Humphreys was the guy that should have made that transition also. But speaking of Lil Jordan Humphreys, now has the opportunity to make the active roster with one less receiver he needs to compete against for that slot, right? With Juwan Johnson at tight end, going up with Adam Troutman, Nick Van Nett, the receivers now have the opportunity to make a name for themselves. And Lil Jordan Humphrey is the guy that stands out the most right now. Why? Because as of late last season, Lil Jordan Humphreys gained a good bit of traction with that that touchdown reception from Drew Brees before the 2-minute warning hit against the formerly defending Super Bowl champs in the Kansas City Chiefs, to having 2 first down receptions against the Carolina Panthers in Week 17, to that crucial 3rd and 12 conversion to a 4 first down and a wild card run against the Chicago Bears. Lord John Humphreys is a guy who strikes me as a very, very hungry guy. And rightfully so. When you have that little taste of success in this offense, you're going to want to keep that momentum going. And he, during his time in Texas, he is nothing if not consistent for his quarterbacks. I believe Jameis Winston is going to have a fun time with a physical guy like Lord John Humphrey, going opposite potentially of Michael Thomas, or playing even in that slot. But the one thing the most that stands out with Lord John Humphrey is his ability and his willingness to be a effective presence in the run blocking, just like Juwan Johnson. You know how Sean Payton in his offense loves to run those receivers in the run blocking game to set the perimeters for Alvin Kamara or Latavius Murray to really hit the boundaries, which is called the highway. Get those big chunks and run the clock out, time of possession, and that's going to be a thing that's really going to be leaned on this season when you're dealing with a new quarterback. Now that Drew Brees is officially retired, when you have even Alex Arma, a fullback they've signed out of Carolina, then that really cements the fact that they're going to be running this ball a lot more often. Alex Arma, if you guys don't know him, he's been one of the best lead blockers for the Carolina Panthers during his tenure there. He's opened up holes for Mike Davis this past last season. He's been featured in a lot of run blocking schemes for when Cam Newton was there and when Christian McCaffrey was back there in the backfield. This guy takes on anybody. He's not afraid. He's physical. He can also give you some crisp routes, just like Michael Burton did in the receiving game. He's able to get out there in the flat. He's able to get you those extra yards after contact, yards after catch, and third and short situations, third and medium situations. Alex Arma is a guy that doesn't really get talked about as much for what he does in the nitty-gritty scheme of things. So having Alex Arma back there with Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, and maybe even Ty Montgomery, he may even get some looks, then it really says that they're going to finally make running a staple for the New Orleans Saints, and I can't wait for it. Now, defensively, we've got Zach Bond and Marcus Davenport being 2 guys I believe are going to really impress, and I believe especially Zach Bond. When you have Zach Bond coming up from a 3-4 system as an edge rusher in Wisconsin to a whole different feel as of being that will linebacker, he's supposed to be competing for the will linebacker spot with rookie out of Ohio State, Pete Warner. I believe that they can really do some good, turn some heads this year with the full year of learning what the will linebacker spot is about for the New Orleans Saints. Some people believe that he's an edge rusher. He should stay being an edge rusher, and to some degree, I can understand where they're coming from. But I believe he's versatile enough. He's athletic enough to play that will linebacker spot. He is definitely fast. He has that lateral ability, just like Pete Warner. He has that lateral ability, and on top of that, he has that play recognition. He has a play recognition, instincts, of leadership, and that grit, toughness that you would want out of a linebacker that we haven't had going opposite of Demario Davis. So the linebacker unit of Demario Davis, Pete Warner, and Zach Bond, I'm very confident. I'm very excited to see what this unit is going to look like on the field, even as early as preseason games, right? I can't wait to see how Zach Bond has acclimated himself to being a will linebacker in this system. Secondary wise, let's look at Marshon Lattimore being restructured for his contract. The contract restructures opened up about $7 million in cap space for the New Orleans Saints to be able to sign their draft class going forward. And there's something else here. It's been reported that, well, I wouldn't say reported, it's speculated. It is speculated that the New Orleans Saints may have come up with a contract extension for another guy. Who that guy is supposed to be, I believe is Marcus Williams. I don't believe it's Ryan Ramczyk as of yet, because they recently just signed Landon Young, offensive tackle. He played left tackle, he can play right tackle. He's learning to be versatile all over the line of scrimmage. So I don't think they're going to give Ryan Ramczyk that extension just yet, but I do believe it's going to happen. I believe Marcus Williams is a guy that's a bigger priority right now, because he's playing on a franchise tag that locks him in for this year, but nothing beyond that. Cementing Marcus Williams and maybe even accessing a 5th-year option for Ryan Ramczyk going forward is the more ideal thing for the Saints to do. That's just my take, though. It remains to be seen if that ends up being the case, but I still believe Marcus Williams is the guy who I believe deserves the extension right now. Marcus Williams, since coming into the Saints system, has been a really good fit going forward. A lot of deep balls that we used to be scared of haven't been so much of a factor with Marcus Williams has been back there. He's a ball hawk. He has great range. He has that great tackling ability on top of that. He only missed 1 tackle last year when playing. So that's really comforting. When going into that season, tackling was a question mark for Marcus Williams. He is a top 10 safety in the NFL. A top 10 safety in the NFL. I believe he's ranked number 8, or maybe even somewhere between 6 and 8. The top of the matter is, he's a top 10 safety, and you can't let talent like that go. You can't let top 10 talent like that go. You have to lock him up. You have to extend him. That's another reason why I believe he's the first to get extended, if that's the move the Saints made to free up for the cap space to sign their draft class. Now, speaking of extensions, I'm not sure who else deserves the extension outside of Marcus Williams, Ryan Ramczyk, and Marshon Lattimore, but we have to talk about Marcus Davenport, and we have to talk about it, right? Because Marcus Davenport talked a little bit about preparing mentally and getting himself mentally in shape for this upcoming season. He talked about how he had struggled in terms of getting sack, the numbers game, and sack production. He's trying to really just have fun, just play the game, and I can understand where he's coming from. He's going to have to show me. He's going to have to show me that he can not only stay healthy for a full season, but also contribute in a pass rush. He has all that length, just like Peyton Turner. He has to be able to use that. He has to be able to shed blocks off a lot more efficiently than he does. He has to add more to his technique. Peyton Turner is a guy that strikes me as a guy who really has better technique than Marcus Davenport right now, but he is a really good run defender. When he was back in the lineup, the New Orleans Saints have been leading the league in total pressures. Marcus Davenport is a top 5 defensive end or defender that really turns up the pressure rate. He ranked I believe it was number 4 in terms of total pressures on third downs, which was 21.1%. And that's actually really surprising. I didn't know that. Marcus Davenport really has all the tools he needs right there to really be a top tier edge defender in the NFL. If he can get that mental part of his game up to snuff, then he'll prove a lot of doubters wrong. He'll prove me wrong, and I honestly look forward to that. Speaking of the mental side, let's look at Marshon Lattimore going into this season. What can we expect out of Marshon Lattimore? He believes that he is a top cornerback in this league. Is that true? Right now, I'm going to say no. He definitely has the tools. He was the 2017 Defensive Rookie of the Year. That shows that he's capable of being a top cornerback in this league, but he plays down to his competition a little too much. He's not as focused on his matchups when you're not going up against like a Mike Evans or a Julio Jones or a Calvin Ridley. You're going to get guys that are middle of the pack, right? But you have to play them as if they're better than you. You have to play up to your competition regardless of who they are, not down to your competition, because that's where you get lackadaisical. Now he looked really strong in the postseason last year, so that's a sign going forward that okay, he's starting to get his mind right. He is showing that he could be a top cornerback in the league, and this is now his time. This is now a golden opportunity for Marshawn Lattimore to really submit himself as a guy that can be, as quote, the top cornerback in the NFL. He refused to comment on the contract restructure, the contract negotiations, and his arrest this past March in Ohio. And I can understand that that's not something he needs to worry about, right? He'll handle that situation away from the media. He doesn't need that kind of attention. He needs to focus on what he's got in front of him on his plate. And I believe that's a good mentality to have. That's a good sign that he's mentally maturing. He's learned from that fiasco in March in Cleveland, Ohio. So Marshawn, I'm pulling for you. You got a lot of guys pulling for you. Show them why you were 2017 Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now, in terms of this Saints quarterback position between Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston talked about how he really improved on his process. It's the process and being able to make the right decisions regardless of the outcome. And that's really important when you're trying to really cement yourself as a future heir apparent to Drew Brees. You have to be able to make the smart decisions. You don't have to stretch the ball 90, maybe not even 70% of the time going downfield. It's taking those checkdowns, making the throws you need to make, as well as he quotes, making the decisions not to make. You know, it's all about the process in the decision making. He's really shown that he's sharpened that part of his game. He's slimmed down. He's in the best shape of his life. Jameis Winston not only is a charismatic guy that you just love to be around and makes you want to fight for and cheer for him, but he's shown that he's also taking this a little more seriously. He's humble now. He ate that humble pie coming into the New Orleans Saints with a very minimum low contract to learn from Drew Brees, and he's really shown that he's absorbed as much information as he can from Drew Brees before he officially retired and went on about his business. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Jameis Winston does with this team. Jameis Winston is a guy that I believe is going to have a really big year, probably as far as a MVP type of year. It remains to be seen, but it's not that far out there. Taysom Hill, he talked a little bit to the media talking about how he really enjoyed just playing to training to be a quarterback only. Honestly, if you were to ask me right now if he's going to beat out Jameis Winston, my answer is going to be no. And I believe he should continue being that gadget player, that star athlete that he is for the New Orleans Saints, because he's in the probably one of the best positions you'll ever see, like TJ Jones from the State of the Saints podcast alluded to during one of his episodes. Sean Payton turned an undrafted quarterback out of BYU into the league's most athletic football player in the NFL. Tim Tebow playing tight end. He's being compared to Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is getting a lot of coverage because of that, right? You don't want to mess up a good thing. Why would you want to mess up a good thing? Don't do what Tim Tebow did late in the early 2010s, right? In the 20-teens. Don't do that to yourself. You're playing tight end. You're seeing the field at tight end, at fullback, sometimes running back, and you've got a whole playbook, a whole section of a playbook tailored to the RPO. You talked about incorporating the run pass option in the offense with some coaching staff, and that's only going to happen if you continue being in the role that you're in. That's how I feel about it. But if you continue to limit yourself to playing quarterback only, you're not going to see the field. I don't believe you're good enough right now to beat Jameis Winston in training camp. I don't think you're good enough, period, to beat Jameis Winston in training camp. So you're just really limiting yourself and the action you see on the field in 3 different spots, right? So, and you're getting paid good money on top of that. the New Orleans Saints really value you. They are paying you handsomely for all the positions that you're playing, right? You're being well compensated. Don't do that to yourself. Like, I don't understand, why would you want to mess up a good thing? But that's it. That's all for right now, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this little episode. I'm sorry again for not being here as much as I should have been. I will be more consistent going forward. I look forward to talking about the next media coverage either tomorrow or the day after. I may let this mini camp play out before I give my whole thoughts on the whole shebang bang. Look forward to that next video. In terms of what I'm going to be doing for the rookies in their film study, I'm still going to do that, but I'm going to space it out going forward and probably have it last until the start of training camp, which is probably a month or so from now. So you're going to see that spaced out. I'm still going to do another Pete Werner film study on another team he played during his last year with Ohio State. I'm still going to be doing Paulson and Tebow if I can get some film on that. I'm going to be looking at Juwan Baker, or I'm going to be looking at Ian Book and what he's able to do and what he did during Notre Dame as their most winningest quarterback of their school history. Those things are still going to come. Like I said, it's going to be spaced out. I hope you guys enjoy what I got coming up. And as always, black and gold until we dead and cold. I'll see you guys later.